Well, welcome to the grand final edition of the Don't Argue. It has been a massive 28 weeks of NRL action, all thanks to Palmerbet, of course. And Gids, I'm actually the one that's on the road this week in the grand final, mate. It's usually you jaunting all around the New South Wales countryside. But, mate, how are you? How are you going? And you must be excited about NRL grand final week.
Mate, absolutely, mate. Yeah, it brings back some memories of a kid, the old grand final weekend on the horizon. You know, always used to be a bit of a party and a show at mum and dad's, and it was always on the calendar as a game that you wanted to look forward to as a youngster. So yeah, not too much has changed. I mean, as a former player, sitting back and looking at these two teams coming into the grand final, you know, a bit like when the Knights, I guess they're the two teams that have been closest to in some grand finals in Newcastle, 2001 in the 97 grand final, and probably similar to Parramatta. Pretty big underdogs, and you know, Penrith being the favourites over the last, you know, not just this season, the last three seasons. It's a real David and Goliath sort of clash, this one, but maybe there's just a little bit of something special there for the Eels to take this one out, but who knows?
And Gids, you know, over 30 years since Parramatta have won a flag, what would it mean to the supporters, mate? It would be massive, wouldn't it?
Well, I think, mate, you probably look at the Sharks grand final there a number of years back now. They hadn't won a grand final for well, I think it was 30 or 40 years themselves, if I can reflect on that. And you're seeing what that did to not just the current players. I remember ET on the field at the end of that game and was in tears. What it did for the community locally, even, you know, in Newcastle here, and reflecting on what the 97 grand final meant for the town here in Newcastle in 2001. So it can have a huge influence on, you know, the current playing group, the former players that have played in that grand final during the 80s, over 30 years ago, and certainly for the players who probably played in the 2001 grand final and the 2009 grand final where the Eels got beat. Yeah, those players they'll be certainly cheering this current team on, and hopefully they can get the monkey off their back and chalk up another premiership. But geez, it's a tough one against the Panthers.
Hey, Gids, what about yourself personally, mate? Haven't played in an NRL grand final, but you've played in the Super League. You know, tell us about the build-up and that for a grand final. It's something special, isn't it? You know, like we've just gone through it, obviously, down here in Victoria, mate. The build-up to the AFL grand final is massive, and NRL it is huge as well, isn't it, Gids?
Oh, absolutely, matey. Like it's the pinnacle. You know, we talk about Origin being one of the biggest games that a player can play in, and for sure, definitely is one of the pinnacles of rugby league because of the toughness and the profile of State of Origin. But look, when you start training back in November and you're pulling the boots on for the first time after a nice break through spring, you know, this is what you're working towards. This is what you do, the tough days of training and sand hills and wrestle sessions and you know, numerous amounts of Ks and fitness sessions and gym sessions. This is what it's all about. You've been training for 10 months now, all for the grand final day. That yeah, you're the envy of all other players who are sitting down on grand final day. I remember it was a day that I wanted to be playing in. If you weren't playing grand final day, you were a little bit bitter about that. Yeah, so I got to experience two grand finals really close to the start of my career. I made my debut 2001, so I played in the reserve grade preliminary final. We got knocked out.
Yeah,
but I stuck around and trained with first grade for the week leading up to the grand final, 2001 grand final versus Parramatta. So I got to experience what it was like, that build up.
Awesome.
You know,
yep.
What's the influence that game and that premiership had on the town, and then obviously, you know, the celebrations and the effect it had on the local community. On the back of that, I understood
Massive.
that. I understood I was only, you know, tagging along for the ride really at the back end there, but still a wonderful experience.
That's it, isn't it? You know, like you just can't beat experiences like that, mate. You know, and you were the next generation coming through, mate. And it's great that they pulled you through and let you experience that.
Yeah, it was, mate. And then, mate, the next one, I unfortunately lost the Super League Grand Final when I played for Warrington Wolves in 2016. That was at Old Trafford, Manchester United's home ground. You know, one of the most iconic grounds in the world. And here I was in the sheds in the Man U home dressing rooms, pulling the boots on, ready to play a grand final in the Super League, which I didn't think I'd have that chance, and unfortunately went down 12-6. So mate, that has some mixed memories. Obviously. To play at that type of stadium was amazing, but to go down, geez, I still got some rough memories about that game.
Yeah, still eats away at you, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Yeah,
so
it's
mate,
unreal.
neither of these teams or players will want to be on the wrong side of this grand final. That's for sure. But the Panthers have had plenty of success. They know what it's about. They've been the most consistent team over the last 3 seasons. But as I say, there's been 100%. some strange things and upsets, mate, over the years in grand finals, and when we just don't know what can unfold. It could be one injury, one concussion that might change the game. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, kids, before we focus on this weekend's or this Sunday's NRL Grand Final, let's turn our attention back to preliminary final weekend. And it all started on Friday night, and it was a magnificent game of rugby league, and the Parramatta Eels 24-20 over the Cowboys. And I don't want to beat my own drums, kids, but I was pretty keen on the Eels on getting the job done last weekend. And geez, it was a good game. I must admit, I really enjoyed watching this game last Friday night.
For sure, buddy. You said you were keen on the Eels, mate. I don't want to sort of dive back too far into the archives of
you gotta.
Of the don't argue. But mate, I did a little bit of research in the lead up to the grand final week, mate.
I saw the text messages floating around, mate. I was all over it. Don't worry,
mate. I was sure I had the Eels somewhere amongst my early tips in round one, and the boys, the Palmer boys, have dug back through the videos, and apparently I may have had the Eels as the premiership outsiders for $13. But anyway, let's not worry about the past, mate.
Surely someone jumped on that.
Sure, I hope so.
Fortune out of the boys of Palmer.
Boys, tweet in, please. Let me know. Maybe a little cut of it, commission. But mate, yeah, as you say, Matty, cracking game there last week. Cowboys going in favourites. I thought playing at home might have just got them over the line, but geez, a tough and resilient performance by the Eels. I thought some of their forwards were outstanding. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Paulo, Sean Lane, tall back rower on the left edge there, had an outstanding game. Ryan Madison on the bench. I know Ryan Madison's played State of Origin this year off the bench, but I just thought their forward pack was awesome, mate, and probably got them over the line.
And do you know what, kids? What I really liked about it was they had to really tough it out. They had to dig deep. That last 10 minutes, they were under siege, weren't they, mate? And they had to lift, they had to find something, and they did.
Absolutely, mate. They were under the pump, a bit like the Sharks were when it was that semi-final, the first semi-final weekend, and the Cowboys come back to score on the bell to get them into extra time, and then won in golden point. So, mate, they know how to dig deep and find a way to try and win. And the Eels done a great job of just holding them out in those dying minutes, mate. Because, geez, if they scored, they were going to be kicking the goal to seal the game and go into the GF. But the Eels got there in the end.
Mate, what about the other prelim final? I must admit, the other side that I was keen on last week, kids, were the Rabbitohs. And I was sitting back 12-zip at halftime thinking, gee whiz, here we go. This is game on here. Nice little juicy odds they were too at about $3.60, all thanks to Palmer Bet, of course. But they did not score in the second half. It was an unbelievable performance, 32-12. The Panthers just, they absolutely steamrolled, and they deserve to be the favourites heading into Sunday's grand final, don't they, kids? They've just been a powerhouse team all year, even though Parramatta have beaten the Panthers both times this season.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 times, mate. The Panthers got them in the round one of the semi-finals. But look, mate, I think that plays a little bit in the minds from a positive point of view with the Eels. Okay, let's go back and review those 2 games in the regular season where they beat them. And I've got no doubt that they'll be going into this game really confident. Okay, guys, we've done the hard work before. We know what has worked in the 2 matches where they've pipped them during the regular season, and that they'll work off that blueprint again. They'll have a look at the video in that first week of the semis and look at where they got it wrong So I think it'll work in the favour of the Eels for sure, knowing they've beat them 2 out of 3 times this year.
Righto, kids. Let's turn our attention now and let's have a look at the grand final. 7:30 p.m., of course, Sunday at a Course Stadium. All thanks to Palmerbet. Head-to-head, the Panthers are $1.35. Eels at $3.20. At the line, the Panthers -8.5, $1.90. Eels +8.5, $1.90. Total points under 38.5, $1.90. Over 38.5, $1.90. So a couple of questions there before I get into some key stats, kids. Do you think it's going to be a high-scoring affair this Sunday?
Yeah, I think so, mate. That's going to be part of one of my multis is the over 38.5. I think both teams have got some points in them. You know, they've you look at this, even the scores from last week. There's 44 points in the Cowboys and Eels game, and there's another 44 points again in the other semis. Panthers and Rabbits. So I think that just with how tough the games are, mate, is the quality of teams, but how tough these games are. There's just so much fatigue coming into the back end of the game, and you see, you just see how competitive it is in a number of the games in the semi-finals, and you think the players can't possibly give any more effort, and they find a way. And I think that fatigue that's obviously been a focus for Peter V'landys in the NRL to bring more fatigue into the game, so it creates more attacking plays, but the players still find they dig a little bit deeper and tap into some sort of energy source that they didn't think they previously had. But I think both teams can score some points, and I think it can be over 38.5 points, this one.
Kids, the other one I wanted to say it was head-to-head. So $1.35 the Panthers, $3.20 the Eels. I just touched on the fact that Parramatta have beaten Penrith both times this year. So do you think it's a little bit skew-F there, all thanks to Palmerbet?
No, well, I don't, mate. I think they're good odds from an Eels point of view. Look, head-to-head, mate. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go with the Eels. I just think, again, that maybe psychological.
This is big.
Mate, it's good odds, 320. Yeah, the Panthers deserve to be 135. Like they've dead set lost a handful of games in 3 years. Like I don't know if they've lost too many back-to-back games, let alone
they just get it done, don't they?
Well, mate, they're so consistent, and it's all driven by Nathan Cleary. He's so clinical. He spends more time on the training paddock than probably any other player in the NRL. And his kicking game, his goal kicking, I think he kicked 6 from 6 or 7 from 7 last week. All their shape and attacking plays are so clinical with Luai, Edwards out the back, Isaiah Yeo. So most of the work they do is everyone knows their role and they do their job. They do it well. So again, mate, they've been the most consistent team for the last 3 years, but we've seen upsets before in big games, and you just don't know what's going to unfold. So I'm going to go with the underdogs here in the Eels head-to-head, 320.
That is unbelievable, mate. Now, listen, this is the key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet, of course. So the Panther and the Eels, as we said, have played 3 times this year. Panthers won their regular season games 22-20 and their round 20 clash 34-10. Penrith won their opening finals game 27-8. Okay, so we go back a couple of weeks ago now. Give them a bit of a touch-up. This is the first time these two sides have met in a grand final, NRL Grand Final. That's a massive stat in itself, which is pretty amazing.
Just that massive one for Western Sydney and rugby league too. The AFL tipped a whole heap of money into GWS. And obviously rugby union is another pretty high profile sport, along with soccer or football. But huge win for the game, this one, for 2 Western Sydney teams to sold out already. Massive. I've just seen on social media today, sold out. So the atmosphere is going to be bananas out there.
And surely they've got a couple of spare tickets for Kurt Gidley and his entourage, mate. You'll be heading along there on Sunday night, Tippy.
I'll be on that lounge right there, mate.
You will be too. Hey, other key stats. So both teams have won 4 of their last 5 games. Okay, unlikely try scorer. The Eels hooker Reid Marnie has scored 3 tries against the Panthers this year, so he's been a scoring machine against them. And the Panthers have won 5 straight finals games, including last year's grand final, and this is their 3rd straight grand final. So they are certainly deserved favourites, especially coming off that victory a couple of weeks ago, where they give him a bit of a touch-up. But as I keep banging on about, and the man that Parramatta are going to have to stop is Nathan Cleary. Gids, how do they stop him? How do they curb his influence on the contest? Because he's such a pivotal player, isn't he? He puts up those big spiral bombs that just cause so much grief.
Yeah, mate. Well, I think if you go back to, if they do a little bit of research on what Queensland done to Nathan Cleary game 1, I think that was, their markers and their A defenders put so much pressure on him. His kicking game was way off. It was not at the expectation and level that Nathan Cleary would have liked.
You can't give him space in that.
You can't give him space. You got to, you know what? You spend the whole off season, Matty, on holding each other accountable. Don't be cheating. Get both feet over the line. Don't be taking shortcuts. Well, guess what? You get the grand final day, mate. You got to cheat. You got to cheat. So everything you've been holding each other accountable for all year, video sessions, trainer sessions, diet, alcohol, whatever it may be. You got to find a way to cheat game day, and you got to push the envelope to, leave marker early, pressure in from the inside, jump a little bit early from A, and obviously that comes with some risk around. You don't want to give a penalty away, but you got to find a way to knock him around and pressure his kicks, because Wonga Blake will be shaking in his boots a little bit. He had a bit of a stinker there in that first semi-final clash where he dropped 2 or 3 balls. So you reckon Nathan Cleary's got that planned again? And if they'll
be going straight to him.
I'll tell you, mate, I reckon Reid Marnie, one of his number 1 goals will be, I'm just going to pester Nathan Cleary. I don't care whether he's kicking, running the ball, tackling, whatever it may be. I reckon his number 1 job will just to be a nuisance to Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think they're going to have to try something, because he is certainly the key to the Penrith Panthers' chances. That is for sure. Now, listen,
you look at Matty. You look at whether it was Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Andrew Johns. That someone had to try and find a way to put them off their game, whether it was legally, illegally, no different to AFL or any sport where you've got the best player in the team. You need to try and put them off their game somehow.
Yeah, it's a grand final. There's no tomorrow. It's do or die. That's the end of the day, isn't it, kids? So listen, so you're keen on Parramatta as you lead for the multi, and you're going to go over the 38.5 as well. Anything else you're going to chuck in that multi, kids? Because this is getting juicier and juicier. Yeah,
mate, me multi, I'm going to go Eels to win outright, as I've just mentioned before. Margin 1 to 12, and the over 38.5 points, total points for the game, $9.58, mate, that one. So again,
Jeez, that's nice.
I'm probably like maybe a lot of fans outside of the Penrith fans. I think probably there's a fair majority out there that may have a little soft spot for the Eels in this one, given they've lost 2 grand finals, their last 2 grand finals, 01 and 09, and they haven't won one for over 30 years. So that's maybe the coming from the heart, mate, for me.
Yeah, mate, I love it. It's a great story, isn't it?
It is.
I must admit, you're right. My heart says I'd love to see Parramatta win it, but that second half last week against a side that was in pretty good nick in the Rabbitohs by Penrith it was just too good, to be honest, kids. And I just think they're going to be too strong. I really do, and I hope it's close, and I hope it's a really, look, anything can happen, mate. If something does happen to Cleary, he gets an injury or gets a concussion or something like that early, you just never know. Yeah. But I just can't see it. They're just an awesome outfit, aren't they?
Oh, mate, they are. You know what? I was excited, mate. Some of the matchups. I'm just going to run through them quickly now. Dylan Edwards and Gutho at fullback. Two real workhorses. They're not the quickest blokes in the team. They're not the biggest. They're not the strongest, but they're the most influential. They both run big meters. They've got big work ethics. So 2 cracking fullbacks going head to head. Luai, Dylan Brown, Nathan Cleary, Mitchell Moses. Like the halves is another great matchup. Those halves.
Luai's had a great year, hasn't he? Like he's been instrumental, hasn't he?
Yeah, Mitchell Moses had a pretty good year as well. I think you could rate his year as one of his best. Not one of his best games last week. A couple of kicks out in the full, so he can improve on last week's game. And then, mate, you get the forward pack: Moses, Leota, Regan Campbell, Gillard, Coruscant, Reed Marnie, hookers, James Fisher-Harris, Junior Polo, Kikau, Sean Lane, Liam Martin, Papa Lee, and Isaiah Yeo and Ryan Madison. Like that, those are cracking forward packs. So I expect those guys to go pretty hard at both forward packs.
Oh, yeah. You're going to wake up pretty sore on Monday, mate, aren't you? Regardless, win, lose, or draw, kids. But it'll be sweeter if you win, big fella.
Absolutely, mate. Especially when you're sinking a few, all the pain will be straight out the window.
Hey, listen, let's talk about the first try scorer. Okay, all thanks to Palmer Bet, of course. And the odds here, mate, we're going to just talk about the four wingers. Brian To'o, $8.25, scored a double against the Eels in their last clash. Charlie Staines at $9.25, 2 tries in 14 games this season, but 22 tries in 37 games in his career. Mika Sievo, $11.50, 13 tries in 15 games this season. And Wacker Blake, $15, has 12 tries in 21 games this season. Which way you're playing here for the first try scorer? All thanks to Palmer Bet, kids.
Yeah, man, I think I got it wrong last week. I was tipping Charlie Staines for something as first try scorer, but the Bunnies got off to a pretty good start in that first 20 minutes last week. But leaning towards Micah Sivo, mate, for this one. I think Micah could pick up something, mate. He's a big, strong Fijian. He can finish off tries, good in the air. So, man, I'm thinking a little kick from Mitchell Moses to Micah Sivo to pick up the first try, and just the crowd will erupt.
Oh, mate, we need you in the commentary box, I reckon, by the sounds of that. You've got it all down, Pat. Hey, listen, what about the Clive Churchill medal? Nathan Cleary, of course, he's our favourite, $3. Mitchell Moses at $7. Isaiah Yeo at $9. Dylan Edwards at $10. Clint Gutherson at $12. And Appy Carousel at $14. Are you looking around that kind of 7 or 8 players, kids, or are you thinking someone from left field?
Well, I think so, mate. I mean, Sean Lane had a super game for the Eels there last week on the left edge. I think, all those players you mentioned are so influential for both teams. Appy Coruscant, even his origin appearance where he came in game 2 and started the game, he was so influential in winning that game, getting the team on the front foot. So he's dangerous. But I just think, again, if I'm going to pick the Eels to win head-to-head, I think one of the most passionate guys and one of the hardest workers in their team consistently is Clint Gutherson. And I like him personally as a player and a leader within the team. I think if they're to win that, he will have a pretty big influence on the outcome.
Yeah, you got to go with who you're going with too, mate, don't you? It very rarely happens that, a person from the losing side will win a Clive Churchill medal, that is for sure. Hey, where do you watch it, kids? Just from home, obviously, mate. You're just going to kick back over the weekend and just enjoy it Sunday night?
I'm going to text with a few of the boys who I train with in the mornings, the big Chiefo, Hughesy, Mark Hughes, Denny Medeiros will be down there, mate, because I want to have a quick mention there for the Knights NRLW team. They're in the grand final against the Eels in the curtain raiser.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so
that's brilliant, isn't it? Good to see.
Mate, super effort by the Knights girls. They recruited some of the best players in the competition the Knights did this year, and they've gone from last with no wins last year to a grand final. So massive turnaround. And again, mate, like they had an open trainer session today. It was on the news, and a lot of loyal Knights supporters turned up to see them. And there's a few of us old boys that are going to head over one day this week to wish them all the best as well. So yeah, mate, go the Knights girls in the NRLW, and mate, I'll be having a few beers here, a few Steel Cities, Matty, with a few of my ex-teammates.
Yeah,
watching the game.
Steel City, mate. I love it. Hey, listen, I don't know whether you caught the AFL last week, but Robbie Williams pre-game, he was pretty special, mate. Tribute to Johnny Farnham, Shane Warne. It was just entertainment plus. Who we locked in for the NRL Grand Final?
Mate, I think it's Barnesy. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, perfect.
I'm pretty sure.
We can't knock Barnesy, mate. That's brilliant.
I can't knock Barnesy, mate. I just think I always watch the AFL Grand Final for the pre-game and halftime. Obviously, I watch the game as well. But I just think you still it better, mate, in the AFL. I think you get. I mean, Barnes is a bloody Australian legend, that's for sure, and a rock and roll star. But I always feel like entertainment. They just always pip the NRL, I think, overall. And mate,
do you know what, mate? It's an interesting one. The AFL has spent a fair bit of money. They've copped a fair bit of flack over the journey. Meatloaf was a flop, and there's been a few of them. Yeah. But I must admit, I love the night grand final, and I think the AFL, after the ratings night that have come out this week, are possibly going to look to go to that night, because I was thinking to myself, you imagine that MCG last week, a night grand final, Robbie Williams absolutely tying one on under lights. It would have been just a spectacular. It was fantastic, but it would have been just next level.
Good point.
I reckon under the lights. Yeah.
I've always liked the day grand final, probably because I think as a player it'd be great to play in a day grand final where there's potentially not the influence of slippery ground or
dewy conditions and that.
But I suppose from an entertainment point of view, where you've got a world star, superstar like Robbie Williams, would be pretty cool to turn into a full concert. And I think that's what the AFL do well, where they actually have everyone on the field and turn it into a full concert experience at the end. I mean, mate, I think what year was it? Was one of the Richmond boys was up singing with the Killers?
Yeah, with the Killers, mate. Jack Rewalt, mate. Mr. Brightside, big fella.
That was
actually
sensational.
I'm coming up to your neck of the woods to see the Killers in December, kids. So I think we need to hook up and mid-December, mate. So maybe we need to catch up with the crew at Palmer Bet, mate, and have a bit of a get together and a bit of a Mad Monday or something like that for the Don't Argue. I
like the sound of that, mate. I like the sound of that. But Matty, mate, thanks so much for hosting and guiding the ship, mate. This year you've been awesome, and all the boys at Palmer Bet, Denny and Matt, for helping us with the stats and all the behind the scenes, mate. They've been outstanding. So
brilliant.
It's been a real pleasure, mate.
Mate, seriously, you've absolutely nailed it, kids. We actually haven't met ourselves in person. We've done all this via Zoom, which is just the modern technology and that. But you're right, Danny and Matty and the crew, they flick everything through to us each and every week. People kind of say to me, I didn't realise you knew so much about NRL. I actually don't. It's actually just the beautiful stats that those boys give me each and every week. But no, do you know what, kids? I've really enjoyed the season. I've watched so much more NRL. And I've actually fallen in love with your game. I found myself, especially the back half of the season, I was watching the Friday night NRL games over the AFL, which I reckon says something. And it's just a great sport. And I've really, really fallen in love with it this season, mate. And it's because of blokes like yourself who are just really passionate about it. And you've done a magnificent job, mate, I must say. So it's been an absolute barrel of laughs, and I've had a ball this season.
No, it has, mate. I think this is the most engaged and the closest I've watched games, because of the this segment each week. And that's it. Yeah. So, mate, I've actually enjoyed getting to know more of the players who are coming through the grades and breaking into first grade. So I've always watched the footy. I always will be a huge fan and supporter of the game, but I've really enjoyed sort of looking into some of the players who are coming through and some of the standouts through the year. So it's been awesome, mate.
Hey, listen, all thanks to Palmer Bet, the Don't Argue, the grand final edition, the final edition for season 2022. And the key message, kids, as we always say, gamble responsibly. Okay, get involved. There's so many same game multis, all that kind of stuff with Palmer Bet. You can do it all. Download the app. It is really, really simple. Kids, Sunday night at Core Stadium. It is the Penrith Panthers taking the Parramatta Eels. You have a wonderful weekend, grand final weekend, mate. And go the Eels. By the sounds of it, I'm going to go with Penrith, big fella.
Okay, mate. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this year. All the best.
Good on you, kids.
Good, buddy.